10 is in the books. Week 11 is upon us. These are my SEC Power Rankings entering Week 11 of the 2024 college football season. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. We're brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com, use promo code SECU at sign up to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 or more lineup. Again, guys, that's prizepicks.com, promo code SECU to get your $50 bonus today. As we enter week 11 of the 2024 college football season, we do as we do each and every single week, and that is look at my SEC power ranking. So without further ado, let's pull up each of my selections, and we will start in the number 16 slot. The Kentucky Wildcats find themselves in the cellar. Kentucky suffering a really tough loss in Knoxville. Wasn't unexpected, obviously. That's a building that Kentucky does not win in, and it just continues the frustrations and the futility that is Kentucky since that game, if you can believe it, way back earlier in the season in Oxford against Ole Miss. I don't know that Kentucky ever got off the Grove or left the library there in Oxford, got back on the bus, and actually went back to Lexington, because that team has been missing since that game. You've got to think, guys, the Mark Stoops era has run its course. It's going to be time to move on, whether it's Mark Stoops stepping down or Kentucky making a move. But I think the Mark Stoops era in Lexington, again, it's finally run its course. And for my money's worth, guys, Kentucky is the worst team in the conference, especially when you look at the rest that are ahead of them. More on that in just a second. So, again, Kentucky at that number 16 spot. At number 15, speaking of, again, a team that beat them but finds themselves second to last and falling after last weekend after they lost to Diego Pavia and the Vanderbilt Commodores. More on them in a second. The Auburn Tigers come in at number 15. Guys, this Auburn team, here's the thing. It's crazy because you look at the numbers, guys. They are top 25 in the country in total defense. They are top 50 in the country in total offense. Yet the product is what it is. It screams one thing to me. It's coaching malpractice. I don't care if you believe in Hugh Freeze, believe what he's doing in recruiting, you believe in the long-term big picture of him at Auburn. This season has been riddled by coaching malpractice. How does Jarquez Hunter only get the football 12 times in this ball game? A week after he ran for almost 300 on Kentucky's defense. It makes no sense. It goes back to coaching. There should be a lot of hard questions asked of Hugh Freeze this offseason. And guys, in my opinion, he's on the hottest seat, you could argue, going into 2025 because of what the expectations are, the talent they are undeniably bringing in, the talent they undeniably have, and the lack of results they're getting. Or not even that, they're putting up results in regards to offense, defense, where they're ranked, but they make losing plays, and they make dumb decisions, and they coach like dumb coaches, and that gives you what we've got with this Auburn football team this season. So coaching malpractice all around. A lot of hard questions should be asked of Hugh Freeze this offseason. Number 14, guys, I've got the Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma getting a nice win over Maine, ho-hum, non-conference win. They got a big game this weekend. Very underrated bad blood game in Como against the Missouri Tigers. Going to be a big one for both sides. Number 13, I've got the Mississippi State Bulldogs. State and Jeff Levy and the boys hanging out in the 13 spot. Again, guys, it's been a big season. It's trying to cover the spread. Cover the spread. They obviously handled UMass in their non-conference game, but all in all, again, Mississippi State, they are what they are. But I think with that offense, Michael Van Buren can still beat the three teams I have below them. So Mississippi State, I've got in the 13 spot, guys. At number 12, coming off the cocktail party loss to the Georgia Bulldogs, I've got the Florida Gators. Now, this team without DJ Lagway, if he is out for an extended period of time, they are worse than the 12th best team in the SEC. But I'll tell you this, guys, watching them in person, because we were at Jacksonville, we were at the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, watching them in person, I understand why Florida fans are so upset. I get it, because they've got talent. This team has talent. This team should be better than they are. They've missed some big opportunities this year. And guys, when you ask the question of, well, should Billy Napier be back next year? There's injuries. Like, has he done enough? Ask yourself this question and then stop the conversation. And this is Florida we're talking about. Do you believe Billy Napier is the guy to lead this program to a national championship? If the answer is not a resounding no, he's not the right guy. Heck, do you believe he's the guy to lead you to an SEC championship? If the answer is not a resounding yes, he's not the right guy. That's it. Bottom line, that's where the conversation stops when you're a program like Florida. So I think the decision should be made after the season or whenever. Valiant effort by the Gators, but just not enough per normal of the Billy Napier era. Number 11, guys, I've got the Missouri Tigers. Again, they got a big one upcoming this weekend. Missouri finds themselves ranked in the college football playoff rankings the first of the season. Many folks disagree, including myself. Guys, a 6-2 team, but a 6-2 team that feels as fraudulent as any. I'm not just trying to take shots here at Mizzou, but they just haven't looked good. Big opportunity this weekend against OU. What's the status of Brady Cook? Sounds like he may not go. If that's the case, it's going to be a rough finish of the season with Drew Pine. And number 10, guys, I've got the Arkansas Razorbacks. They got shellacked over the weekend by the Ole Miss Rebels. That was my biggest swing and miss of the weekend, was picking Arkansas to beat Ole Miss straight up. Defensively, the Travis Williams, the T-Will fade late in the season is kind of a gun defensively, right? This is typically when we see T-Will's defenses kind of slide and fall off. Really disappointing performance at home, and I worry about Sam Pittman's future, guys, because when you're getting blown out at home, that's a pretty good recipe for change. And when you're not winning a lot of games, and again, you're losing like that in front of the home faithful, that's a recipe for change. And I think change may be coming in Fayetteville. Number 9, I got the Vanderbilt Commodores. Who's got it better than the Commodores? Did you hear that? That was the boys from Lot 2 that said nobody. Diego Pavia owns the state of Alabama. He owns Hugh Freeze. Guys, this was the most no-brainer pick of last weekend. Diego Pavia and that crew going to Auburn, getting the win, a place he has tons of confidence. Won there last year as New Mexico State starting quarterback. Vandy's a really good football team. I don't know how, if people still haven't recognized that, I don't know what to tell you. But this is not your grandpa's Vandy. This is a really good football team. Really impressive defensive performance by Clark Lee and his crew. And now Vanderbilt, huge opportunity on the home field. They've punched their ticket to bowl eligibility, by the way, which congratulations to the Commodores. Congratulations to the boys of Lot 2. They've got a huge opportunity this weekend against a South Carolina program they have not beaten in 15 consecutive tries. Has been a frustrating streak for the boys up at Vandy. They got a shot to snap that this weekend in Nashville. And number 8, I've got the Alabama Crimson Tide. Of course, guys, coming off the bye week, they've got the playoff eliminator this weekend against LSU at Death Valley at night. Huge opportunity. Alabama's got to do something they have not been able to do over the last couple years, even dating back to Saban. That's play smart, disciplined football on the road. Do you believe they're going to do that? I don't, but do you believe? Obviously, playoff hopes on the line in this one. Number 7, I've got Texas A&M, guys. They fall from 2 to 7 in my power rankings, and for good reason. A&M got smoked at South Carolina, man. I mean, it's one thing to walk into that environment and lose, and it is what it is. You walked into a hornet's nest. But to get bullied the way you did, to get pushed around, not be able to generate a single sack, give up the amount of rushing yards you did to a not-so-great offensive line, all due respect. You tip your cap to South Carolina, and we're going to get there in a second. And I don't think Texas A&M is shot or anything. I think all this means, guys, is the Texas A&M game. For A&M, it's going to be college football playoff hopes are on the line, which is really awesome to think about, honestly, but that's what it's going to come down to. So, I think A&M probably not quite as good as we made them out to be, putting them in the 2 spot. I still think they're a really good football team. I think they walked into a hornet's nest on Saturday night when they took on the Gamecocks at Williams-Brice Stadium. Speaking of the Gamecocks and Shane Beamer and company, at number 6, I've got South Carolina. Again, how can you not be impressed? Incredibly impressed by what you saw on Saturday night, guys. That front 7 is one of the best in college football, not just the SEC. The offensive line was played as well as we've seen any South Carolina offensive line play in years, the way they got a run push, the way they protect Lenora Sellers. Lenora Sellers is such a load to bring down, and a guy who's able to, evade tacklers and break tackles and make things happen. Joshua Simon stepping up at tight end spot. Rocket Sanders continues to show why you worked so hard to get him out of the portal. So, and then a Williams-Brice Stadium that was frenzied and going crazy all night long. We've got to recognize South Carolina, guys, as, you're searching for consistency with them, but this 2024 version of the Gamecocks at their best with that defense, they're a really tough out. I mean, they're one of the best teams. I'm not putting them in the upper echelon of the SEC, but they're right there kind of knocking on the door, guys. They're right there kind of knocking on the door. Now, November's going to define them, right? The way they close it out, but I think you saw a glimpse of what this team can be if they can be consistent. Now, you got the big game at Vandy. How do you handle prosperity? That's the big question for the Gamecocks this weekend. Number 5, I've got the Ole Miss Rebels. Guys, Ole Miss again. They blasted Arkansas. That looked more like the offense we were expecting from Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. 515 passing yards for Jackson Dart, 5 receiving touchdowns for Jordan Watkins. We all know about the defensive line, the defense, 41 sacks. I mean, they've been relentless all year. And now it sets up the big showdown in Oxford. The game that we will be at as the SEC Unfiltered Tour heads to Oxford, Mississippi to watch the Rebels take on the Georgia Bulldogs. It all comes down to this. Ole Miss's 2024 season will be defined as success or failure based off what happens on Saturday afternoon in the great state of Mississippi. No pressure. No pressure. And number 4, guys, I've got the LSU Tigers, again, coming off the bye week. LSU, Alabama square off, like I mentioned earlier. Going to be a huge game, man. What do you get out of Garrett Nussmeier? Can you run the football consistently? What type of plan does Blake Baker have for Jalen Milroe, right? The last running quarterback you played, Marcel Reed, he diced you up. Jalen Milroe diced you up last year. Going to be an insane environment Saturday night at Death Valley. I called it a spiritual experience about a month ago or so. I would expect more of the same. That place is going to be rocking, unhinged. Brian Kelly, 13-0 in home night games. Alabama's had a lot of success there, but this is Kalen DeBoer's Alabama. Feels very similar to what we saw a few weeks ago when Alabama went to Tennessee. Tennessee with an opportunity to kind of start a new chapter in that rivalry. And, of course, guys, for Brian Kelly, it's a program-defining, career-defining type of game, at least at LSU, for Brian Kelly. Year 3, that fan base will not take lightly to missing the playoff if you can't get the job done at home at night against a year 1 Kalen DeBoer and Alabama. Guys, at number 3, I've got the Tennessee Volunteers. Looked really impressive against Kentucky. I thought Nico played one of his better games. Dylan Sampson is a guy that nobody talks about, that everybody should be talking about. And the defense was relentless yet again. Guys, again, the projected bracket for the college football playoff came out on Tuesday night. I feel pretty darn confident that Tennessee is going to make the playoff. I mean, listen, don't count your chickens before they hatch. This 2024 season's crazy. But with what Tennessee's got in front of them and the way they're playing and the way their team is built, especially if Nico can continue to develop and progress, I love what lays out ahead of Tennessee. Really good win at home. The dark mode unis, by the way, in the dark mode setup, incredible. Neyland was rocking, but impressive showing by the Vols. At number 2, I've got the Texas Longhorns. They moved back in the 2 spot, coming off of the bye week. I think it was a much-needed bye week for Texas, guys. They got Florida this weekend, but it's probably against – we'll see if DJ Lagway can go. I don't know if Texas is going to cover 21.5, but feel confident they will win that football game, and I think Texas is in great position, too, to probably win their way to that Texas A&M game, and it be kind of a winner-take-all, I say, but, I mean, a game in which – could determine if Texas is going to go to the SEC championship, depending on how things break. But Texas with a bye week, I don't think it could have come at a better time. Let's see how they look coming off the bye week against a Florida team that's obviously got talent. But I still do right now put Texas in the 2 spot. And number 1, guys, for even as inconsistent as they are at times, for as bad as Carson Beck is at times, I'm still putting Georgia number 1, and I think they're the best team in the SEC right now. I do. Now, listen, because they go to Oxford. And I'm on record picking Ole Miss to beat Georgia. If Carson Beck continues to turn the football over and play the way he's been playing, they are going to get beat. It's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. On the flip side, though, to be fair, if Georgia offensively can stop turning the football over, I think we could see that dominant Georgia product that we expected to see before the season started. Because, guys, he's turning the ball over and they're still winning. That's what's crazy. That's truly what's crazy. So I think Georgia's still the best team in the country. I think Georgia's still the best team, certainly in the SEC, and still sit at number 1 in my power rankings after winning the cocktail party in Jacksonville. So, guys, what do you think as we go into week 11? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? How would you power rank the teams of the SEC after 10 weeks complete of the college football season? Guys, that's going to do all for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in again. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, you can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, guys, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we will catch you on the other side.